Welcome to another bonus edition of Upon Further Review.
Upon further review,
And in this edition, we'll be talking about the Minnesota Vikings at the St. Louis Rams. This game will be taking place September 7th. That's at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and you can see that on Fox. These two teams match up here in Week 1. The Minnesota Vikings are a team that a lot of people expect big things from this year, but I'm not one of them. I'm not buying into the hype. I'm not doing it again. I bought into the hype last year, and the Vikings were trash. I don't really expect them to be much better this year. They've lost some people. They've gained some people. They've reworked their offense somewhat. Of course, they do have strength at receiver with Greg Jennings and Cordero Patterson. Cordero Patterson is one of the more underrated players in the game. But at running back, Adrian Peterson is probably the most overrated player in football. There, I've said it. I'm sure anyone who hears this is probably their heads exploding right now. Everybody has such a huge high standing of AP. And yes, in the past, he had some glory days, but those are over. Last year, AP was trash. All his yards got picked up when the Vikings were already behind by 2-3 touchdowns. At that point, the defense is pulled back. They're letting them run the ball. So, those yards don't mean nothing to me. And the Vikings just are one of the worst teams. Last year especially, they were just absolute trash. I don't really expect them to be that much better this year. I think that, people buy into that Vikings hype, good for you. We'll see what happens come Sunday and throughout the season. On the other hand, the St. Louis Rams, they're probably one of the most underrated teams in football. Last year, they were actually really competitive, but they ran into the same problems last year. They're starting off the season with this year, and that's Sam Bradford being injured. He's gone down once again as Sam Bradford's injury problems continued in his NFL career that has barely seen him get on the field. With that, though, Sean Hill, I'm not sure if Sean Hill is necessarily a downgraded quarterback for the Rams. The Rams are a very strong team in every other position. They've got some playmakers. Let me tell you, Zach Stacy is a beast at running back. They've also got Cunningham backing him up. At receiver, they've got some talent, as well as Tavon Austin. He's their third receiver. And he can return kicks and punts. The guy is a playmaker. Anytime you put the ball in the hands of Tavon Austin, he is a threat to score. This guy is a human highlight reel. And then when you look at the Rams' defense, they have one of the best front sevens in football. These guys are loaded. They have 9 players that they can rotate in and out of their front line. So they're always going to have a fresh pass rusher putting pressure on the quarterback. They're going to be coming at you fast and furious, and they're led, of course, by Robert Quinn, who is one of the best defensive players in football. You saw last year the Rams played some close games. They also blew out some teams that they were supposed to lose to. They blew out the Colts. They blew out the Bears. And it just, when you play in a division like the NFC West, it's just kind of like I don't know if you want to call it bad luck, but it's just the cards they're dealt. They just happen to be in the division with the Seattle Seahawks, San Francisco 49ers, and the Arizona Cardinals, all 3 of which are top teams that had top defenses last year. I expect big things from the Cardinals again this year, as they actually should make the playoffs. They just narrowly missed. They deserved to be in the playoffs last year, but instead they, with the way the playoffs are structured, they had a better record than some playoff teams, but weren't able to make it in because of the division they play in. Of course, you also expect the Seahawks to do big things, as they've already showed on Thursday night in the first game of the year when they beat the Packers pretty handily there. It looks like they're going to be strong once again and definitely a threat to repeat. So the Rams definitely have, things cut out for them. It's going to be an uphill battle. It's going to be tough, but I expect them to be more competitive, as they were competitive last year, and they're going to win more games this year. It's going to be really tough making the playoffs in the division that they're in. They already have 2 teams that are likely to make the playoffs in Seattle and Arizona. And with the injury to Bradford, that may or may not hurt. We'll see how Sean Hill does. I actually expect him to be a more than viable option in replacing Bradford, and that he actually should do a pretty good job there. And I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. As for Sunday in this game, though, I think the Rams should have an easy time of it. It's in St. Louis. I wouldn't be surprised if they blew the Vikings out. It could be a close game, early on, but once the Rams get going, they start racking up the points. I see them winning probably by 10 or more. It could get really ugly potentially in this game. But that's what I think. Let me know what you think. I'm definitely open to hearing other people's ideas and comments and opinions on this game and all other games. Just leave a comment below. Let me know, and I'll give you my feedback as well. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the show.